Chapter 11 Locust Army. Now that the pilgrimage rites in Mecca were over, I put in a good deal of time seeing what advances had been made in this part of the world in recent years. The most extraordinary example of this was the miracle of Kilo 10 on the Jeddah-Mecca road. Here, in the middle of what was until recently parched, sandy desert, 1 million gallons of water are pumped each day to a little paradise of crops and fruits established by the foresight of one man, the Saudi agronomist Dr. Badcook, and the energy of his king. For thousands of years, Jeddah existed on the uncertain flow from brackish wells. Frequently the people went thirsty. Until recently, seawater condensation plants provided some water on a limited scale. Today, however, there is actually a superfluity of water in Jeddah. This abundance has brought life to Kilo 10. The Bedouin, with his apt turn of phrase, has named the settlement the Desert's Grey, the first indication of the fate awaiting the whole arid wastes of the Hejaz. I saw hothouses, fruits and vegetables, experimental seed wheat crops ready for distribution to farmers, irrigation channels, cool, clear water pumped from the Wadi Fatma 30 miles away. 3 yards from this fertile patch lies what seems barren desert. Frankly, faced with the problem which Badcook had 4 years ago, I would have given up. So hard have this man and his little band of helpers worked at Kilo 10 that, while the place is equipped with thermostatically controlled greenhouses, there has not been time to build permanent homes for the agriculture experts themselves. Like their nomad ancestors, they live in a cluster of unassuming tents. The second modern wonder of the Hejaz is the British anti-locust colony somewhere on the Medina Road. Here, a small group of Britishers, many of them ex-officers, maintain a lonely outpost of the Locust Service, that international organization which collects information about the insect and exterminates them wherever they are to be found. Equipped with all the amenities of modern science in their work, if not in their huts, the anti-locust men, like their counterparts at Kilo 10, have nothing in the nature of home comforts. Drawn up with military precision in the shadow of a barren outcrop of rocks, their camp is dominated by an enormous stack of poison bait, exactly like one of the huge slag heaps of the English industrial north. The anti-locust service must always be mobile, on the alert. They are equipped with radiophones, sand vehicles and repair shops. Fighting teams range over a wide area to attack the enemy as soon as he lands. The huts are mud-walled. Instead of roofs, they have canvas ceilings. This is due, as it was explained to me, to the fact that by law in Saudi Arabia, no foreigner may erect a permanent dwelling. Permanent means with a roof. When I arrived at the camp, the sun was beating down insanely upon the cluster of mud huts, their white tent roofs sagging as though cowed by the heat. It was hard-baked sand hereabouts. Very little moved, and nothing grew. The tire tracks leading to the headquarters tent were only those of heavy-duty desert trucks. No visitors with fancy private cars ever found their way here. At the sound of our approach, a tall, lean figure wielding a baton and clad solely in khaki shorts came to the door flap of the largest hut. "If you want the Medina Road, you're 20 kilometers astray." He came from Wimbledon, I think. After the first slight incredulity that anyone should visit them, we went into the mess room tent, where 6 rangy brown figures sat, talking, smoking, playing cards. They explained that the rest of the boys were away on a locust hunt. The main trouble with life there was that there was often little chance to get a good crack at the enemy. By the time some Bedouin had trekked into a town to report locusts, they had come and been and gone again. Everything here is planned on strictly army lines. Most of the officers, whose headquarters is in Nairobi and linked with the central organization in London, are former servicemen. Day and night they have a radio watch. As soon as a report of local infestation is received, reports are transmitted to the center and mobile columns, 5 to 10 trucks, sent out with poisoned bait and flamethrowers. This is one of the most important centers of a worldwide fight, because the desert locust has been recently found to be man's worst insect enemy. The Hejaz locust men were well abreast of world news, with special reference to locusts. I learned that not long before, over 70,000 eggs were sampled in 1 square yard of Persian soil, that in Cyprus over 1,300 tons of eggs were collected and destroyed in one operation. One locust cloud can darken the brilliant tropical sky at noon for an area of 100 square miles, and when it alights, can eat up 100,000 tons of food in a day. Life in a locust station is hard. Apart from a few magazines and very little alcohol, there is no town nearer than Jeddah, and one would hardly choose that for an evening's spree, for Jeddah has no cinema, dance hall, or centre of the type of social life familiar to Westerners. Yet, like the men who climb mountains or take ships for months and years into polar regions, these pioneers are completely secure in their philosophy, self-contained in their job, and conscious, in a quiet way, of the value of the work that they are doing. I was immensely impressed by them. The scientists and headquarters in Nairobi will be the people who get most of the limelight, but the answer to the riddle of locust swarming and destruction may well be found here, in the desert of the Hejaz. This is the direct line of the mass migrations of the evil giant grasshopper, for that is all that it is, from Yemen and Africa to India and Persia. Their life at times is dull, the bait mixing, the rereading of ancient, tattered books, telling each other their life stories in their half-tent, half-huts. Then the signal and location of a swarm. Can the insects be destroyed before they take off again? Can the eggs be burnt before they hatch? Will the hoppers strip yet more precious acres of hard-won Saudi soil? There is a wild rush to get the trucks on the road, a dash of 200 miles or more with the bait, the race to beat the hoppers to a fertile field. Then the report, as often as not, 100% kill. Then the routine cycle starts all over again. Many Arabs, like John the Baptist of old, catch, cook and eat the locusts with wild honey. Bedouins, with no crops at all to worry about, think the whole enterprise is madder than just mad. Even my chauffeur thought that they were crazy, and he was better informed than most. He had been in Palestine, and having given the impression on his return that he had been to England, tried to live up to it. He defended my visit, when it became known in Jeddah, with his own theory. According to him, I was not mad, just curious to see the strange group of crazy infidels in the holy land of Islam.